Welcome to this week's Whole Wheat Costa. Um, why were you searching mammoths? That's my favorite title of all time. So we're gonna start off with the beer table. Kevin has same beer, Oktoberfest, and he also bought Manayunk Brewing Crunch. It's a peanut butter beer. Uh,
Tastes like peanut butter.
it's actually tastes pretty delicious. I have Old Standby Namaste White and a giant Pepsi. Um, so that's how we're gonna start tonight. Let's start tonight talking about something that I want to talk about real quick. This weekend,
Real quick.
I went to a wedding and I got to actually dress up nice, and I felt real confident. Like I felt like I looked good, and I'm like super proud of myself. And it's been a long time since I felt like that good. Like so, most of the time it's like gym shorts and t-shirts, and I really have no reason to dress up, and I feel like to feel like that, like I feel like I'm gonna go out of my way to try to do stuff where I have to dress nice, and then see how that works.
So that was my thinking was uh around the time I got married for the first time, I bought a tuxedo and
You'll never use a tuxedo.
no. So but I mean, I've talked about it plenty of times. Made more money than I needed. Didn't have any kids. I was like, oh, look, it's cool. I'm gonna get a tuxedo, and it's gonna be awesome. And want to wear it. I remember talking to like this one guy I knew. We're at like somebody's birthday party, like at a just food place, and I was like talking about how I just bought a tuxedo. He also owned a tuxedo, and I was like, well, what sort of like tuxedo things can we do? Like where can we go in our tuxedos? And he's like, anywhere we want. We're in tuxedos.
Or
Fuck it.
tuxedos. Sometimes tuxedos are like ironically fancy. Like you go there, like you're sitting at a dive bar. Like, what are you guys wearing tuxedos for? Well, we don't have to stay here. We can go anywhere we want.
Exactly.
And,
We can literally go in anywhere in
yeah.
these tuxedos.
but we like drinking here, and they're like, get out of here, fag, and they want to beat you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last time I actually saw someone in a tuxedo was probably, I have to say, like 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
I went to a high school friend's wedding. I'm like, oh man, nice tuxedo. He's like, yeah, I bought it off Amazon. Didn't try it on or anything.
Nice.
I was like, cool. And then he goes, yeah, just had a miscarriage. I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah. So it was the last time. So I'm like, wait a second. So like, you're getting married today? He's like, yeah. And I was like, well, why would you bring this up? It was like really awkward. He's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna ever have kids again or try. And I was like,
Wow.
uh, well, congratulations. I'll see you later when you get married. He's like, oh, thanks for coming out. I was like, this is the most awkward conversation I've ever had.
Yeah.
But good news, he's on his second child now.
That's good. It
Yeah.
all worked out well.
Yeah, but that's not how you start a conversation in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's top five worst conversations to start in a tuxedo.
Yeah, it's in the top 5, I think.
Yeah.
I think I still have that tuxedo somewhere. I mean, I don't know if it would fit me right now because I gained some weight. Yeah, I honestly don't think I'd want to go anywhere I can get dressed up right now because I don't feel comfortable in any of the clothes I own.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty much my my point. Like I always feel like crap,
Yeah.
and like real self conscious. Like, and then women are like they're real vocal about it. They feel like, oh man, that girl looks better than me, and I don't think guys really have like that vocal
Yeah.
part of them. And like in
I
my head, I'm just like that guy definitely looks better than me, and I'm like I gotta go leave.
See, I never think of it in relation. That might be the difference. Like, I never think of it with like men and women. I never think of it in relation. Like, I feel like if I see a guy that looks like dressed really nice, though, if it's a guy like I'm talking to, I might say something about it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't think it reflects poorly on me.
No, but there is that self conscious part.
Yeah.
Like oh shit.
I just think whether I look good or not whether I don't compare myself to other guys that way. But I don't know that weirdly made me think of the conversation we were having before this that so my son's 2.5 and he either likes really manly things or like dressing up like a girl because like he's around women all the time.
Yeah.
So but we went to this Grange fair on Sunday and we'll I feel like circle back to JD's wedding story. I just interrupted it in the middle.
That's
I think
fine.
but yeah, so we went to this Grange fair on Sunday, which I definitely went to once. When I was in high school, I was dating this girl whose parents were like real like well, her mom was like real hippie, like the kind of person with like long gray hair that was like in all in knots all the time because she never probably fucking brushed her hair. And they were like all about like the Grange fair, I remember, and like just like stuff like that. So the Grange fair's thing is like, so it's like animals. It's like a farm fair basically. It's like animals. There's like contests for like the best vegetable. Um,
A hundred
there,
pound squash.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was this cucumber thing that was like 3 feet long. I took a picture of it. And maybe we'll post it on the official Facebook page when we get one. Um, so look for it there, maybe.
We have an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anyone,
We have an email. You're like, okay, we'll do it. Yeah, like,
I
like
read the
this
email.
is new, this is news to me. Like you do drugs and you forgot that you made the email.
Yeah. So
What?
I feel like we should give out our email address and then people can request it if they want a picture of the giant cucumber.
It's wholewheatcosta@gmail.com.
Yeah. wholewheatcosta@gmail.com.
Yeah. There's no pictures of us because just think of like two fat white guys. One's a ginger. One's I guess blonde, brown, balding
Dago.
man. Yeah, on Dago.
Yeah.
We're two white guys with beards, so we blend in with everyone.
Yeah. So, but if you email and request it, we will send you the picture of the giant cucumber.
Yeah.
I don't think it was really cute. It was like a cucumber like thing. But anywho, so we went to this thing and I guess he does talk more now, but he still doesn't know like a ton of words. And we're walking through all the like big tractors and stuff, and my son's like, "Dad, I want to go on the excavator." And I was like, "I didn't know the word excavator," but so he went on it, and he likes stuff like that, and like he likes trucks and he likes dinosaurs, and then I like got a shower Sunday morning, and I came out, and my girlfriend's niece was like slept overnight too. And they're both dressed like princesses when I come out. So Amelia, her niece, is in like a Elsa dress. And Sam's Dorothy.
Yeah.
And he pulled it the fuck off though.
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about is I think he has such like a doesn't give a shit about anything face. Like he's just fine with whatever. That like he could totally pull off a Dorothy dress. Like I'm pretty sure if he walked down the street in that Dorothy dress, no one would have given him a second look. I'm like that seems fine.
Right. So, the second part of my weekend, I went to Six Flags with my brother and his kids. Real quick, long story short, she's afraid of half the things. He's afraid of the other half. So we really can't compromise and go on anything. But anyway, there was this boy about 4 or 5 years old, and he was wearing a dress. And my brother like flipping out about it.
Yeah.
So that's that. So some people aren't as like happy about that. I guess.
I feel like your brother probably has some colorful language about it.
Yes, very colorful.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. So, but yeah, it was like a pretty good weekend because it was funny because Sam so like Meal is like Sam's like arch nemesis generally in life for whatever reason they just fight when they're together.
How far apart are they born?
Meal is about 6 months younger.
Oh, okay.
But she's like his size because she eats nonstop. So
unlike both your kids who who never eat.
Yeah, I was like super excited that she's going to be there for breakfast because I even said in the morning I was like because I usually like to make breakfast especially on Sundays. And I said to everybody else, I was like, this is great. Meal is here. She's going to eat breakfast like the rest of you jerks never eat anything. And then, of course, she really didn't eat much. So it was disappointing. But it was funny because we had a bunch of other kids over on Saturday with this family party. And when like all the other kids there, they were like besties. And they were like the cool kids. They were like playing by themselves and like sort of had their back turned to everybody else. And then like as soon as everybody else left, Sunday morning, Sam called Meal annoying. Because she was crying. At another point she was crying and he was just like chilling, sitting at the counter, like watching YouTube while I was making breakfast. So then I was like, I said something like, why don't you sit next to Sam and watch YouTube? And then Sam turns to me and goes, she knows sit next to Sam and watch YouTube. And like he turns away with his tablet and is like pissed about it. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny, but it was funny when they were getting along on Saturday because he likes to be a dinosaur all the time, and Mila comes in the living room and she's like riding a little scooter thing, and she said to everyone, Sam's going to come get me. He's a dinosaur. So it was cool. They're actually playing together because like I think usually kids that age sort of like play next to each other. They don't really play together that much. So I thought that was cool. I'm not sure exactly what age that cuts off, but
Puberty.
yeah, well, true. But I think like the early play is like basically like they each do their own thing next to each other, and then they like start to interact and they like really play together. So the fact they had this like shared like I don't know like fantasy thing I thought was cool. That like she knew Sam thought he was a dinosaur. But yeah. Oh, the other thing this weekend was, so I'm pretty sure that when Sam's a teenager, like we're gonna get in a lot of trouble together.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Because so like the more he talks, like the more it starts now. Because so we're at this Grange fair, and like so cows in real life are fucking terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. They have these giant tongues,
and they're massive. They're absolutely
right.
monstrously massive.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of cows in this area, and they're pretty big. But I've been out to Colorado.
Yeah.
They're like twice the size.
Gee, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like they're like horse tall.
Yeah, well they had a couple horses there that were like car size, that were like comically large. They were like pulling. It was like two horses pulling like a whole wooden wagon with like a whole load of people in it, and they were like fine. But yeah, so we're standing next to this like giant cow, and we're kind of looking, and like me and Sam are both looking. I was holding him, and I was like, Sam, you want to pet the cow? And Sam was like, no. You want to pet the cow? And I was like, no, not really.
And they smell terrible too, and they're covered in bugs.
I would imagine like kicking you, like they're just so massively big.
Right.
So we're like sitting each other and like, nah, I don't want to pet the cow either. And then Sam's like, why don't you pet the cow?
Yeah.
And I was like, he sort of dared me to do it. And I was like, okay, like I'm not scared to pet the cow.
Yeah.
So I like petted the cow for like a second, and then I turned to Sam and I was like, well, I petted the cow now. It's your turn. You pet the cow. And he's like, okay. And then like he petted it. But I'm pretty sure when he was like 18, it's gonna be like we're gonna be out. It's gonna be like, that guy's an asshole. I'm pretty sure we could take that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's gonna turn like pet the cow. You pet the cow. No. Beer. Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how it's gonna go when he's older.
Yeah, that's how it turned in. My dad and I would be talking about something, and it was like, you want to go do this? No. You want to go do this? No. You want to go to the bar? Okay. Who's driving? Well, I will. Well, I already have DUI, so what's another one?
Yeah.
Like, Dad, this is a terrible idea,
But it's just like at like 2.5, he's already like he's basically already like, why don't you stop being a pussy and pet the cow? And I'm like, okay, I'll pet the cow.
Yeah. Speaking of being a pussy, I told you this earlier, but it's a hilarious story about me pretty much, giving up on things.
Yeah.
So, like I've mentioned before, I do training every Monday, and my trainer is real nice, super positive guy, right? So I text him last Wednesday. I'm like, that girl that walks by every day, or every Monday at the same time, and she probably walks by getting off the Paco and walks by. And he's like, yeah. I was like, dude, you should push me to go talk to her. And I was like, these are
his training responsibilities.
Yeah. He's like, all right.
I'm not a life coach. I'm just a trainer.
Yeah. He goes, you're not going to bitch out, are you? I was like, no, I'm definitely not going to bitch out. So I finish up, and she walks by like later than usual, and she like walks by, stops, looks back at both of us. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. He's like, I wouldn't either. He's like she walks by, and I never really like got to look at her. Way prettier.
Yeah.
Than I was like, oh God, no. He's like, good. I won't. And then so I leave, and then after I go to training, I work on the podcast a little bit at a coffee shop before we record. And I'm texting him. I was like, can I come hang out on Wednesday? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, you gonna talk to her then? I'm like, maybe. He's like, I'll find out her name by then. And I was like, all right. He's like, she walks by like in the morning and then
Okay.
walks the opposite way
Yeah.
in the afternoon because he's like there all
So
day.
like by Wednesday she's gonna
Yeah.
take a different path to the train.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna run out there and get her name for her. And I was like, you're kind of creepy. Maybe don't.
Yeah.
you know. So it was like crazy because like there's these two giant windows. She walks by.
Mm.
I like ogle and sweat even more.
Mm.
She walks by, never looks. The day I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go talk to her. She stops, looks back, smiles. We're both like, what? So, and like he's like I'm married and I have a baby on the way, and I still got nervous.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like if you had Sam there, Sam would be like, "Oh, you gonna talk to the girl? I'll talk to the girl."
Sam walks out there like, hey, barely speaks his hey. Jay's a pussy. You should go talk to him.
I'm pretty sure by the time he's 3, that's how it'll go down. But I don't know. So that was yeah, it was like kind of weird over the weekend too because we had one of Kelly's cousins was there with her kid and she was like just so much more uptight about the kid than like the rest of us were.
Oh God, that's the worst.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's like sort of hard to mix like with that because when it's like, I don't know, and I guess like I'm pretty laid back and like Kelly's like real. I mean, Kelly just like yells at the kids and like, which I think they need. I feel like everything I tell my ex-wife, like when I bring him Sam back after the weekend, I'm like, oh, so we did, and she's like always surprised, like, oh, I didn't think he would do that. I'm like, oh, he totally did. He was fine with it.
Did you
he
try?
loved it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I feel like I maybe overestimate what he can do, but he usually works out fine.
Right.
But then to be around someone that really babies their kid, it's like a little bit strange. I don't know. But I guess I had the advantage of like, Kelly already had a kid that was like 4, was she 3, I guess, when we met, but like, I guess we're like 4 and we like really were seriously dating.
Right.
So like she had already done a lot of that stuff. So then like when I was like sort of overprotective, she was like, hey, he's totally fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I grew up with my niece and nephew, and then like I met your kids, and I talk to all children like an adult.
Yeah, I think
Like,
that's the best way.
I don't ever baby them. Like I don't ever have baby talk or anything.
No.
Like my obviously my language changes.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey buddy, how's it going? But
Yeah.
I'm like, look, sit like a human, not like an animal. And like I tell that to his kids all the time. And
Yeah.
and they kind of like just listen. I feel like I've seen a lot of parents baby their kids like, hey, here's why you don't want to do that, and the kid's like, no, but you talk to them like an adult, like they treat you like an adult yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel that like that's how it works. Maybe I'll treat my kids one day differently, but that's how I treat everybody else's kids.
Yeah, well, I think it's because like I'm a little bit more of a pushover, but then I think it's worse because what happens is instead of being like somewhat stern like a lot of the time, then I'm like sort of a pushover, and then when it comes to like once they really piss me off, then I like yell at them,
Right.
which is like way worse. It's like I don't know. It's like almost like training a dog. Like you should never like yell at a dog.
Yeah.
You should like talk sternly to them and like tell them to do what you want them to do. I think kids are probably the same way versus, like if you're not, then eventually it just keeps going where you just get mad and then it's like, and then you just flip out like, oh, what, why are you doing that? I don't know, but
Yeah, we get the example.
yeah. So, but I think it was good this weekend to have Mila there too, because so she's an only child. Sam
Not for long.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Sam part of the time is an only child. Allie part of the time is an only child, essentially.
This is the first time in South Philly history the mom has 2 babies by the same father.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's the first time it's ever happened. But yeah, so I think it was good to have them all together for like 24 hours because essentially like they're all sort of used to getting their way and like none of them got their way this weekend. It was, they had to compromise and like do what we do. And,
well, it's easier for Allie and Mila to see each other
Yeah.
But I really feel Sam has to get in that mix too because they're always going to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you do something stupid, then
Yeah.
But they're always going to be around. So like he has to get used to playing with them.
Yeah.
Like it's a part of his socialization.
Well, just like, it was like, well, and what's good is I think we keep a really good consistent pattern because like, a part of the issue, like I think Mila was the biggest issue over the weekend because she like we have a pretty set pattern and she just wasn't used to it. Like when we like when we were watching a movie Saturday night, Sam and Allie knew, okay, it's movie time. We're gonna lay down. Like there's no toys. Like we're just gonna watch a movie really fall asleep. And like Mila was getting up to like play with toys, and we're like, Mila, this is what we do. It's movie time. You gotta lay down. Like she doesn't know. She really hasn't been there. But Sam and Allie, like, no, like they know the routine at this point. And then like Mila's getting up, it's dark, she's like tripping over Sam and Allie, like falling on them. Everyone's pissed off at her. And then like the same with like breakfast Sunday morning, because I guess more so Sam doesn't wander off. Like, Allie, even if she's done eating, has to stay at the table because if she leaves, then Sam's gonna want to leave. So now that's evolved into, everyone stays at the table until everyone's done eating.
It's family time.
Exactly. And that's usually what we do for dinner too. And like, so Sunday morning, like Mila's done eating and she's like wandering off and like Kelly's yelling at her because like, Mila, we all sit here until we're done eating. Like, what don't you understand? You're 2 years old. What don't you get? But I don't know. But I think that's, I think it's important to have because since I'm kind of like a pushover a little bit, you have Kelly who will like discipline the kids and they all listen to her. Right. I don't know. Sam will mess around, like not listen to me for 5 minutes, and Kelly will walk in the room and he'll like immediately like do what he's supposed to be doing. Yeah. So
I think it's funny that Mila is fatter than both those children together.
Yeah. She's a really pretty kid though. Like she's like I don't know. It works. Her like her plumpness.
Yeah. But, yeah. I think it's me not being a father. I think the whole thing's always funny. Like the older the children get, like they'll start talking back and they'll have attitude and everything. And you really want to say to them, like, look, you still shit your pants. Yeah. So there's no reason you're supposed to give me lip, okay?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't remember if I talked about this last week, but I think it's amazing. Like Sam and Allie are like funny at this point. Like, I mean, Allie just has like the comedic timing down with a lot of stuff, and like, like it won't necessarily be what she says, but like how she says it will be like legitimately funny some of the time. Yeah. And like Sam's starting to get like little phrases that like he knows are like funny that he'll say. Like if you tell him to do something, if you tell him to, do whatever, I'll be like, oh, why don't you do whatever? And like gets in your face about it. It's just funny when he says it. I don't know why I started that this weekend. Whenever I asked him something, be like, yeah. Like, that's how he said it. I don't know where the hell he picked this up. Yeah. But
that's a good attitude. So
yeah.
He goes, yeah. And then he just walks off and does what he wants. Yeah. But you just said yes. What are you doing?
Oh, the only thing that was disappointing about the Grange Fair was that, so when I told them what it was, we're driving there and Sam has this whole list and he's like, I'm going to see the goats, and I'm going to see the pigs, and I'm going to see the horses, and I'm going to see the cows. We didn't see the pigs because at the very end of the Grange Fair, the pigs were already off to their final destination. So
the slaughterhouse?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
There was like this big open area in one of the barns, and like all the fences were down, and then I was like, I wonder if that's where the pigs were. And Kelly was like, yeah, I asked the guy over there. That's the pig has left this morning. So
we make money off these Grange Fair tickets, but we also make it off these delicious pork products.
Exactly. Yeah. So those pigs are already bacon.
Yeah. There's a guy a friend of mine met, and they're all eating. There's this local place. I just thought of it. It's called Local Links, right? We're eating sausages, and my friend loves going there. So I go up there with it, and this guy goes, you guys ever have horse sausages? And we're like, no. I was like, I've had bear before.
I feel like horse sounds wrong.
Yeah. He's like, you got to eat horse sausages. They're delicious. And I go, have you ever had horse sausages? He's like, no, but I hear they're delicious. And I was like, why would you even bring up, have you guys ever had horse sausages? If you never had them, don't bring it up.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be weird to eat horse. I feel like there's that thing. Um, what is it? Oh, I don't know. That just made me totally unrelated. Think of like that like great Stannis speech when he's talking about like the siege of Storm's End. When he says about like how they ate the horses, we weren't riding anywhere, and then we ate the dogs. I mean, loyal animals was a shame, but we ate them.
Yeah.
Then we ate the rats. So like it goes down the whole list. I think there was something before horses, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. Definitely not humans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So now you just mentioned, how bad was that Arya scene?
it was terrible.
This is the worst scene in 7 seasons.
I just don't understand what they're trying to do. You know, and for sort of podcast reasons, since this is totally out of timing, that's we're talking about episode 6 of season 7.
Yeah.
So
We could probably post all these at once, but we won't.
yeah, no, fuck that. You guys gotta wait. I mean, I know you're anxiously waiting.
So by the time this comes out, no spoiler warnings because everybody's going to see it.
Yeah, no, yeah. If you haven't seen it by like January, whenever we post this, I mean, you just gotta live with it.
Right.
But I don't see what they're trying to do. Like so they built Arya up so the beginning of the season they had on the end of last season they had all these like fan service like, oh, Arya's so badass, she's killing these people that we don't like, and now like I mean I hate her now. I mean I got angry watching those scenes because she was like
So annoying.
well, she was like the annoying like college freshman like in a philosophy class that thinks like he knows about like Nietzsche and stuff and is gonna like tell the professor like about it, you know, and like that's how Arya came off like literally the most annoying person on the planet. And now that I'm like in my 30s, like she's like an early 20s person. Like they're all assholes, they're all douchebags, they all don't know anything, they're all worthless in the workplace, they all need to shut the fuck up. And that's what Arya is.
Yeah. Well, she does bring up to Sansa, like, she's like, Sansa, what did you do when they were killing Dad? And Sansa's like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like, what did you do? And she's like,
I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
she's
thought
like,
that was a great response.
She had that, like, you right then and there, she had that, like, you know, she was embarrassed. She wanted to leave. She's like, oh, well, and you're like, yeah, shut up, you little bitch.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope Sansa kills her, but I mean, the only way with that it could be okay, and even then, like, I don't know why you put us through all this annoyingness for multiple episodes, but like, is if Arya is trying to catch Littlefinger off guard somehow. She knows he's like watching everything, and she's trying to let his guard down, and then they're going to do something. But like, I mean, she could just kill him whenever. So it's probably not going to be to kill him, but probably use him, like manipulate him in some way. Like that's the only way that this could not be a super annoying plot line.
So I'm gonna look up a line from the show, which is my favorite line. But how awesome was it that Thoros Amir and Beric Dondarrion have like flame swords?
Yeah.
Like they could turn the flame on. I was like, that's the best thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen. And just that whole scene, like the Arya scenes, terrible.
Yeah.
The North scenes, even though like a lot of that like timing didn't make sense. Those like 7 guys going out there and fighting,
or 10 guys, or 13 guys.
Yeah, whatever.
Depending on which part of the edit you saw.
Yeah, it just it was just awesome. Those guys going out there and like this bear attacks, and then they turn on their flaming swords. They hit the bear, and then it's on fire.
Yeah.
And then the hound's like staring because he hates fire. And then Thoros Amir saves him, and he's attacked by the bear. And he's like, "Well, how you doing?" He's like, "Well, I just got bit by an all dead bear that was on fire." And you're like, "Yeah, that's pretty." Yeah. And then like they have to cauterize the wound, and you're like, well, how are they going to stop that bleeding? But then you realize Beric Dondarrion and Thoros Amir can just summon flames now, and I'm like,
yeah,
that was never explicitly explained, but I'm okay with this.
I wonder if there's like a mana meter, or like they can only do it so many times.
Yeah.
I don't know. If there's like so many uses per adventure, like once you get back to Castle Black, it's reset.
Yeah.
Or I guess Eastwatch is reset.
That was awesome. The Hound really didn't do anything. He did have like a couple cool lines.
He had the best conversation on the whole thing.
He had the best conversation. That was when he was talking to Tormund Giantsbane. and they're talking about Brianna Tarth, and
Nope, it's pussy for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's like, so you to the hound. He's like, you do know her. And he's like, yeah, a little bit. And he's like, I want to make babies with her, big beautiful monsters. And I
That
love
whole
it.
thing
Like,
was great.
yeah, that was great. And like that, then at the end, the hound Beric Dondarrion goes. The hound says something to Beric Dondarrion, and he goes, that's your priest is dead. That's your last life. And he's like, I'll see you soon. He's like, I hope not. And you're like, oh, now I know he's gonna see him soon. So
Yeah.
my my theory is that obviously Jon Snow's going to die again, and then Beric Dondarrion's going to sacrifice his last
That's what I
life.
thought was going to happen this episode. How's he going to
Yeah,
die now?
that's what I thought.
Is
as
he going
well.
to anticlimactically die of hypothermia on the boat now?
Right?
I don't know.
So what I didn't get about that scene was they send Gendry back to Eastwatch by the Sea.
How did they determine he's the fastest runner?
He's the youngest, I guess. I don't know. You would think Jon Snow would. He's like much smaller. Like Gendry's like a big dude.
Yeah, he's like a blacksmith, so he's all his upper body strength. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not
he's a
running.
good sprinter.
He's standing in one spot, like hammering
I
things.
don't want him to punch me in the face, but
Yeah.
I also think I could outrun him if he wanted to punch me in the face. But anyway, so they send Gendry because it's Gendry and all these other guys. Like, I think it was a plot device because all these other guys are badass fighters,
Yeah.
and Gendry's not.
Well,
So-
there were a lot of things that were like sort of gotcha things, like in the trailer. Like one was the Hound fighting with Gendry's Warhammer. I remember when the trailer came out, I heard some comments like, "Oh, I guess Gendry's gonna die."
Right.
Like, I feel like they just did all these things in the trailer just to be like, "Oh, gotcha, that didn't really happen," which was like it felt a little cheesy because I had like 3 or 4 moments that I called out when we were watching the episode.
What I didn't get, and I think everybody's going to be mad about, is just terrible writing, is the fact that a raven went from Eastwatch by the Sea to Storm's End, which is 1,000 miles. Dragonstone, which is 1,000 miles. The north is 750 miles. They explain that in one of the episodes. So there's got to be more. So even if it's only 750, 800 miles, which is more than that,
Yeah.
in one night, that raven got there. And then within the morning, Daenerys flew on her dragons to Eastwatch.
Yeah, how long were they on this island? Like, that's ridiculous.
Like, just think about this. That's like, I've driven to New Orleans. That's 1,800 miles. The first leg of it took 2 nights driving at like 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So it's just, they're messing with time.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's all kinds of weird time dilation things in the series. I mean, I don't know if I talked about it before. I feel like I say that a lot here, but Preston Jacobs did a great thing where he sort of laid out the timelines in relation to each other, and he sort of laid out all these things that we know for a fact, like the time periods they happened in. And then he sort of extrapolated, like, oh, well, if this happened in this time period, if these things definitively happened in these time periods, and these are parallel events, then, like, Sam was only at the Citadel for a few months, but he traveled 2 years to get there, and, like, all these crazy, like, time things that don't make sense. Right. What I thought was really brilliant is it was a really serious analysis of the time events, but he put it at the end of one of his unserious Q&As, so it was, like, sort of, like, making fun of the show with that. But yeah, I mean, this was one that was, I mean, if you think about, like, I mean, if forget ravens, if Gendry ran all the way back to the wall, which, I mean, and they were marching for like a whole day, and he's running through snow, so probably impossible. I guess there's the adrenaline factor and, like, whatever, maybe he makes it back to the wall.
And your lungs didn't blow up.
Yeah, the lungs didn't blow up. He didn't have any water with him. Like whatever, maybe he makes it back to the wall. Yeah. But then, say even he got there, and then they could, like, call Daenerys on the phone. Yeah. Like, it would still take longer than they would realistically have survived on the island with no food or water or heat to, like, for them to call Daenerys and then have her fly up with her dragon. Right. That and we're talking about this before. As JD pointed out, she was already dressed in her winter gear, ready to go. She was ready for it.
I mean, like, it's okay. It's a fantasy show, and the time's all over the place because, Littlefinger just goes through, and then
look at the teleporter.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this show takes place over like a decade at this point, You know,
I
like
think it's like 4 or 5 years
or
only.
close years.
Yeah,
You know,
2 years.
not
Yeah,
not like a couple months.
yeah,
But you, if you think about it, it's the whole dragon getting there overnight
mm.
is kind of crazy. Like the dragons are on a Concorde.
Yeah.
It's not making 1,000
I think the
miles.
dragon probably has to stop and rest at some point. Like, can the dragon fly for 1,000 miles nonstop? Like all three of them?
Right.
I guess there was three of them, so they could like with air currents sort of like drift behind each other a little bit.
Yeah, but
They could like what's it called when you like tail somebody really close?
yeah. So even if they're flying at
Draft.
yeah, even if they were flying at 200 miles an hour, it
Mm.
still would have took 10 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so
But
but it was cool. Eh, I thought it was something I would do when the hound's like real bored, so he starts throwing rocks, and I was like, out of 7 seasons, that's the most believable scene I've seen. Like the hound like throws a rock, and he's like, "You dumb
Yeah.
fuck," and then he throws another rock, and like it slides, and he's like, "Oh crap."
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's actually the one thing you said. You said that as a fantasy series, and that's the problem. It's really not. I mean, and for the third time, I don't know if we talked about this before, but the issue is, George R. Martin's a sci-fi writer, and he was writing a fantasy series like a sci-fi. Like he was making everything as plausible as possible, and trying to explain things. He was trying to like make a Star Trek level fantasy. Um, and the show writers like totally they missed the point. Like this is what the issue of the last couple of seasons is that it's one thing to like not write the best plot or like screw up a plot twist here or there, but they're literally writing in the wrong genre. Like they're writing the wrong kind of story. Like it's not even a problem with the story, it's the wrong kind of story. And this is the issue now. So like if you watch 4 or 5 seasons of like brutal reality of like, I mean it wasn't for shock value that like the Red Wedding happened, or it wasn't for shock value that like Joffrey was assassinated. Like these things happen because in the context of the story, it made sense that they would happen. It made sense that Tywin Lannister, would do anything to protect his family, and Walder Frey was just a bad guy, right. and they had a chance to trap the Starks, and they would do it.
It is a complete 180 because it starts off as a political drama.
Yeah.
And someone had dragons, and there was zombies, but now it's a complete fantasy. Now the dragons are one of the main stars, and then the zombies are also main stars. So it's like it did a 180. Like it used to be a political drama with a little bit of fantasy. Now it's a fantasy with a little bit of political drama.
Well, but I think when you say fantasy, I think you mean like, so
fantasy, dragons, magic.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get the term for it. So like the idea is that there's like, so I guess the way I've heard it phrased before is that when you compare like Star Trek and Star Wars, right?
Right. It's soft sci-fi, hard sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, or like the way I've heard it is like, Star Trek is sci-fi, Star Wars is future fantasy. It's right. It's knights and wizards, but in the future. So I guess like, I don't know what you would call this. This is like medieval sci-fi. That's what it was. It was like medieval sci-fi. And how much cooler would the story be now if it were still medieval sci-fi? If it were still dragons and zombies, but they followed logical rules of the world versus right. just like whatever plot device needs to happen, like happens in a fantasy story.
Right. You know what I also hated about that episode?
Mm-hmm.
The very end of the episode.
Chains?
I'm okay with the chains and all the animals like dragging the dragon out of the chains, but then that's fine. They should have had the dragon's head come up on the ice.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's ever watched one episode knows what's going to happen to the dragon.
Yeah.
They didn't have to spend 5 minutes showing him pull the dragon up onto the ice, the white walk all the way over to it, put its hand on the dragon, and then focus for about a minute on the eyes until they open and turn blue. Like I feel like that was like a wasted time for the viewer, wasted time for the money.
Like other things.
Like it's one of those things like we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't have to walk us through it.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's ever watched any TV can kind of point out that one of those dragons is going to become a white. That's not even a theory. That's just what's going to happen because every television trope there's ever been is now falling into this show.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. And when you write something as we're gonna call it medieval sci-fi, when you write medieval sci-fi, you don't
Or fantasy.
no, they're completely different, opposite ends of the spectrum.
No, they're not.
No, like I don't think you understand what I'm saying. So
No, I get what you're saying, but if there's dragons and undead livings, it's
it doesn't
fantasy.
have to be.
If there's magic, it can be fantasy.
I mean, that's it can be fantasy, but I'm saying the point is the beginning wasn't fantasy, and
it's a political drama.
no, well, not because of the content, it's because of the writing style. So, you know, so I guess the other way I heard it described is like sci-fi is making the magical mundane, you know, and that's what the sci-fi would be. Sci-fi is, you know, is you know there's you know so fantasy is not defined by the like dragons and wizards and knights and stuff are sort of like the dressing of fantasy, but fantasy isn't dragons, knights, and wizards. Fantasy is a certain type of like allegorical story style where you use those pieces to like make sort of larger plot points, you know, and you have certain tropes that you use. Just like when you think of sci-fi, you think of like spaceships and stuff. But sci-fi isn't spaceships. So, you know, so that future fantasy thing. You know, so Star Wars is future fantasy because, you know, you have spaceships and you have like, you know, lightsabers and stuff, but those things are the equivalent of like knights and wizards and you know, and the force is like magic. You know, so just because it's in the future isn't sci-fi. Just because there's dragons and knights, it doesn't mean it's fantasy. Fantasy is a style of story, not things. So my point was, it doesn't matter that there weren't dragons and White Walkers before. That wasn't why it was a sci-fi story before. It was a sci-fi story because it was told in a way that you were in this sort of magical world and it was made very logical. You know, the logic is where the sci-fi is. You know, George R. R. Martin introduces a story and then something happens because it makes sense for that thing to happen. Not because these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and the good guys win, and this is a fantasy trope. So in sci-fi, there aren't tropes like that. You know, there's what logically should happen. So like in this episode, if George R. R. Martin wrote this episode, Jon Snow dies. Like there's no way Jon Snow climbs out of the freezing water and then friggin' Benjen Stark comes in and saves him. It was absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Just like in the episode before, when Jaime jumps off and is sinking in his armor, how the hell does he get downriver, like a mile downriver where the dragon can't even see him anymore? In George R. R. Martin's sci-fi, like medieval sci-fi universe, he dies because metal armor's heavy and you can't swim and you drown. And Jon Snow dies because when you're in freezing water with zombies on your ankles, you die. Like we don't do shit just because it feels good and it's fantasy, because it wasn't fantasy. It didn't used to be fantasy.
Well, we can all agree, like, the writing's kind of gotten terrible.
But that's what I mean. It's not even bad writing. It's the wrong genre of writing. It would be like if next episode was like a crime drama. Like that's essentially what they've done. They've completely changed the genre.
But I get you. But the writing's still almost unbearable at this point.
Oh yeah.
No, the writing's unbearable. Like that scene, no matter what they're getting at. Like even which I don't think it's gonna pay off. That scene between Arya and Sansa was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what twist you throw at us a couple episodes down.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Jon Snow sinking 100 feet down the water and then dragging himself up.
And why does Arya smile all the time?
It's terrible writing.
Yeah.
Right. And then whoever said we should show them pull a dragon out for 5 minutes and then turn it into a white. Is terrible writing. We're not idiot. Don't treat us like a fucking retard.
Yeah.
I get it. Like if they showed them pulling the dragon's head out,
and then cut
end
it.
of episode.
Yeah.
And then next week they show like a white dragon flying around, and people were like, "Oh, you should be shot."
Yeah.
Because you're an idiot, and if you can't put two and two together like that, don't watch the show.
Yeah. The other thing annoying me is like So I guess it depends, right? Because I guess it depends how much time they spend on Dragonstone. Right. Because, you know, the whole, like, I just don't buy the whole Daenerys, Jon Snow romance. Right. Because I mean, we've seen them have like one conversation at this point. They shouldn't mean anything to each other. I don't know. Danny's dragon kind of likes them, so I guess that's like if you go over a girl's house, like her dog kind of likes you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Dog
know.
knows best.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I don't know. I just don't get like I just don't believe their relationship. Um,
I told you I can't have children. Who the fuck told you can't have children?
yeah, why can't you
Why
have
can't you have
children? Since
children? Have you
when?
tried? Maybe Dario's really good at pulling out.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I told you I can't have children. Are you just saying like you mentally don't want to have children? Because I'm pretty sure you physically can have children.
because you had that one kid, and like
Yeah.
what's happened to her since then?
Yeah.
She can't have kids.
I'm barren. How do you know you're barren? You had a child.
Yeah, the kid. I mean, in sort of like, so I mean, well, so the kid in sort of like the magic sense was like cursed or whatever.
Right.
But even if you don't believe that, I mean, the Targaryens are like a super inbred line. So I mean, the chances of her having like a kid with birth defects are probably higher than average.
Right.
I mean, especially if she has kids with Jon, so he's also a Targaryen. But,
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I didn't understand where that came from.
Yeah. I told you I can't have children. Why not?
Yeah.
Who told you that? It's like your doctor's WebMD.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know.
I had a miscarriage. Well, you're barren.
Yeah.
No, you were
Yeah.
already pregnant once.
Mm.
I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen. Like you have a miscarriage and you're like,
Well, that was it. That was
I'm
your
barren.
one shot.
Yeah, nope. Everything's gone. Uterus destroyed.
Yeah.
You know?
Just follow with the baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't stand Daenerys. I can't stand Tyrion. Tyrion's annoying now.
No one cares about any of the main characters anymore. You know
Yeah.
who I care about? Beric Dondarrion,
Beric Dondarrion.
the Hound,
Tormund Giants.
Tormund Giantsbane. Like if
you
they,
do know her.
yeah, you do know her. Like if the focus, like you take Jon Snow out of those guys,
Yeah, it would be fine. It'd be the same.
If the focus was on the other 5 guys,
Mm.
like going around doing shit, like if season 8 was those guys
Just adventuring.
adventuring,
Yeah.
the highest rated show on HBO ever, because all those characters are super charismatic.
Yeah. So I'll tell you the one thing they did really well this episode though was so it was in the normal like second to last episode thing where where you have sort of like the long story, and they did it reminded me most of the Battle of Castle Black, where they really took the time for you to get to know all of the different characters at Castle Black, and and that scene where was it Gren where he holds off the giant. Was it
Right.
Gren or was it Ed?
No, it was Gren.
Yeah.
Because Dollar's Head's now the
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, where like Gren holds off the giant in the tunnel. Like that was really powerful because
right.
they gave you time to know those characters, and it was really awesome. And that's what I felt like they did with this was like you really got to know you really got to know these characters over the course of the episode even more than you did, and
Right.
I thought they did a good job really developing them. But then I kind of didn't like how quick their cuts were with the battle scenes, because you usually didn't know what was happening. Like I didn't realize that it was Thoros and Mira being attacked by that like ice bear until like it was over.
No, I knew it was because of the hair, and he had a flaming sword, but it wasn't Beric Dondarrion because he didn't have an eye
Yeah.
patch.
I don't know. I thought it was hard to tell with all the
Cannon fodder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was
red shirts.
That was so cheesy.
Every time someone got attacked, it was just a red shirt. It was just a random guy with a beard.
That was so cheesy. They brought those guys just to die. Like, I don't know. Just don't have anybody die then. Like, don't insult our intelligence. Like, oh, these 4 guys you don't know. They just happen to be the ones that die.
Like I just said 4 minutes ago, they're holding our hands like we're children. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, obviously someone's got to die. Thoros and Mira could die.
But Thoros didn't even die fighting the actual
Yeah,
undead army.
He died sleeping.
He died fighting a random like ice bear. Like it didn't make any sense.
But they do like talk about like Thoros and Mira, like, people thought he was like the greatest knight of all time. And like they slowly mention how throughout the series how badass Thoros and Mira is, and he's drunk the whole time.
Yeah,
But
I don't
then-
even remember it.
Yeah, and then you watch the Hound you watch the Hound be a badass,
Yeah.
and he's drunk, and then he doesn't do anything the rest of the series, and like you're like waiting for him to do something cool.
Yeah.
But I did like how like the best example of that, all those fights and everything, is Beric Dondarrion and a couple other guys, but like they're dry. It's freezing cold, so they're not sweating.
Yeah.
And then as the fight's going on, Beric Dondarrion looks like he jumps into a pool, like he's sweating.
Yeah.
And then Tormund, his hair's all matted down because he's like, they did like a really good job on those fight scenes. Like everybody's sweating except for Jon Snow.
The one thing I listened to some of Preston Jacobs' review, but while I was driving over, but he talks about how there was like 10 guys initially when they left Eastwatch, and then there were like 13 guys for a little bit, and then like the 3 guys got killed by the ice bear, and then there were like 10 guys. So it's like was just really shitty editing. Yeah. Like I don't know, like they put the scenes in out of order or something. They like thought we wouldn't notice the extra guys. I guess it's like when Theon and Sansa got attacked by those 4 Bolton soldiers and the 2 hounds, and you show them kill 3 Bolton soldiers and 1 hound, and then it's like, well, the other guys just ran off.
Who, Brienne?
Yeah. They show like Brandon Pot, I think, kill almost all of them. The other ones just disappear magically. Right. We forget about them off screen.
Oh, that should be season 8. Those they get back to Castle. They get back to Winterfell. The 5 guys. Jon Snow's in Storm Dragon's End.
The whole episode is just Tormund banging Brienne.
No, not that. Tormund goes, "Where's my beautiful bride?" You know what I mean, right? So season 8 is Tormund, Beric, Gendry, the Hound, and Jorah. They're like, well, we got to go after Brienne. So season 8 is them going on ventures looking for Brienne. But then the series finale, Brienne's fine.
Yeah,
she made it down. She made it down there, and you're like, well, that took a right turn. But at least it's more believable.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. So I guess the next episode is going to be like them talking to Cersei for like an hour. I guess it's going to happen.
Hour and a half. It's a 90-minute episode.
Well, I figure like a half of it would be like Arya being real fucking annoying.
Yeah,
because there's no other storylines anymore. Like this was part of the, and I guess this has to happen naturally as the series goes on. But like, part of the fun would be like, you had like 5 different storylines going on. Each episode, you'd get a little piece of each story. So it really like piqued your interest and kept you going. Especially if you had like a favorite character. For me, there'd be like a minute and a half Stannis scene, and at the end of the episode, I'd be like, "Oh, guys, how about that Stannis scene?" Everyone was like, "What? I didn't think he was in this episode." Yeah. I'm like, "No, how about that scene that happened where he was like, they had that little conversation at the painted table for like a minute." I don't know. So it like really kept you into it. But now there's like 2 stories going on now. Yeah. That's it.
Well, here's
and the fucking Sam story.
Yeah, whatever. Here's Lord Royce is second in charge of the Vale. So and people are like, well, if they kill Littlefinger, the Vale will have an uprising. No, Lord Royce, who's second in charge, hates Littlefinger.
He's Robin Arryn.
Yeah.
So Robin Arryn's the longest serving lord in the 7 Kingdoms, of the major houses. Robin Arryn is the longest serving leader of an entire
they all died, right?
Yeah. It was Robb Stark. It was Robert.
No.
Oh,
major houses.
Yeah. So it was so Ned and then Robb died.
I was gonna say the Manderleys, but he's not.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like Ned and then Robb died. All the Baratheons died. So that's like the Storm's End. The Dornish people died multiple times.
Yeah. That was a quick storyline.
Yeah. Casterly Rock, was Tywin. Now it's like nobody, I guess. The Iron Islands were Balon. Now it's Euron. So I think I'm missing. Oh, and the Reach was, I guess, Mace Tyrell. And then it was like sort of Olenna, even though she's like a woman.
Right. And she's not even a Tyrell.
Yeah. So Robin Arryn's now. Oh, and the Riverlands. It was Hostertoli and then Edwin,
Ed,
Edmure,
Edmure.
Edmure, and then I guess the Blackfish briefly. So
Yeah.
basically every other major house has had like 2 or 3 turning over like the head of the house since the series started, except for Robin Aaron, who has been the Lord of the Vale since episode 1 when Robin Aaron died.
John Aaron.
John Aaron, yeah.
Yeah.
So John Aaron died.
I guess it makes a lot of sense. So what do you think about Baratheons? You think they'll make Gendry legitimate, and then he'll be like House Baratheon?
I think so because I mean, one we have no idea who's ruling the Stormlands at this point. I guess like an Estermont maybe or something.
Yeah, probably.
But so yes, we don't know who's rolling the Stormlands. So, and especially if like John takes over and is like the king or whatever at the end or whatever bullshit, then I'm sure he'd want to like honor his father and Robert and stuff, and they would make Gendry legitimized.
A Baratheon.
Yeah, legitimized Baratheon.
Which actually, if he's a legitimate Baratheon under Robert,
Mm.
he has claim to the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
So,
What if that's how it ends? He like legitimizes Gendry, and then Gendry just kills him with his warhammer. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm the king now."
Yeah, because if Gendry's legitimized,
Yeah,
he's first in line for the Iron Throne.
mm. That's true because the Targaryens were overthrown already, so like their
Right.
claims out.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And they weren't even thrown out. Robert killed between the Mad King.
yeah,
Robert was 17th. He killed all other 16 Targaryens that were ahead of him.
True.
And then
That's true because the Baratheons we know in the story are like second cousins of like Dany. Basically, they have a fair amount of Targaryen blood.
and he was ahead of Dany anyway because she
She's
was
a
like
lady.
a lady
Yeah.
and like the third child of Ares.
Yeah.
And then Robert killed everyone up to Ares.
Yeah.
So Robert is actually the legitimate heir.
Yeah.
So his 18-year-old bastard who becomes legitimized is the heir because all of Robert's children are dead.
Would he be or would Jon be if Jon's a legitimate Targaryen?
Well, if he was a legitimate Targaryen, he's Rhaegar's son,
Yeah.
and since Robert killed everyone up to him,
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah, sure. He'd have been a couple lines down. So.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's older, and I think
Yeah.
Gendry should be the king anyway.
And he's like real short. They pointed out this episode.
Well, Gendry?
Jon.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's like my height.
right. He's he's like, they say on his IMDb he's like 5'8". He's probably like 5'6".
Yeah, he's probably really my height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's the same height as what's her name, blonde haired girl, Dany,
Yeah.
and Danny's like 5'4".
Yeah. I used to say I was 5'8". I say I'm 5'7" now. I'm probably really like 5'6". I don't know.
So funny. I'm in a bunch from this wedding.
Yeah.
There we go. Everything. We didn't even break the wheel. We just went around it.
Yeah.
The wedding. I took pictures with Frank, and Frank always said he's 6'3", 6'4".
Mhm.
I'm like 3 inches shorter than him, and
Mm.
I'm only 5'10", so I don't know.
You're definitely taller than 5'10".
5'11".
Maybe. I don't know. I thought you were like 6 foot.
That's what people say, but I don't.
Yeah.
I've never been measured at 6 foot. No one's ever been
Uh.
like 72 inches.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess that's it. And the reason I was researching mammoths
Yeah.
is because they were talking about humans using them help building the pyramids,
Yeah. Okay.
and I didn't think they were even around at that time.
Fire
but they
mammoths. They were. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it was
pyramids
crazy.
are really, really old.
Yeah, and it's crazy
Like
because
alien conspiracy old.
yeah. So the cool thing about the pyramids is there's all the evidence that like highly skilled craftsmen
Mm.
built the pyramids, and they're like, well, humans couldn't move those giant blocks, but if mammoths were around,
Yeah,
maybe
were
they
around.
used mammoths.
Did mammoths survive in the desert? I mean, it wasn't really the desert then. It was
Right.
more fertile, but still would have been hot.
Yeah, well, I mean they're in Eurasia, so
Yeah.
or even if they had elephants, or
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get pyramids, but I'm pretty sure it's not aliens.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I guess we don't know what technology. I think we talked about this sort of like Bronze Age class before. Like we don't know what technology really existed
Right.
then because there wasn't much writing. We only have little bits of it.
Yeah, but
So
but think about it. When I was younger, my dad was a machinist, and machinists build tooling
mm.
and machines for people to do stuff.
And
And
pyramids.
yeah, and some of these parts are, you know, they can be tens of thousands of pounds. But if you have the right gearing on a chain hoist,
Yeah.
I know for a fact a 12-year-old could lift these like 10,000 pound parts up. You just pull a chain, and it has like two different pulley systems, and
Science.
moves. So people are like, these blocks weighed 40,000 pounds, and they didn't have the technology. It's like, pretty sure they did have the
Right.
technology. It's called a hoist.
Oh, you know, they made me think of, and I know we're sort of like wrapping up, but I keep thinking of this stuff. I thought the Grange Fair was cool because it was very science based. It was very like biological science. You know, I mean, it was just like a farm fair basically,
Right.
but there was like a ton about like there were like just posters everywhere about like genetics and about like animal breeding and like how that played in with genetics and different stuff like that. And it was like very science focused, like in a sort of like redneck sort of way, but it was like I thought that was cool.
That's good. I think children need that. They need that science, and they can ask questions, and then parents have to ask questions, and
Yeah,
it brings the conversation between parents and children that you know they should have.
yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool.
About the cows and the lady cows.
My local farm fair
Yeah,
was in the middle of July,
yeah.
and I
Yeah,
went to
missed it. It
go.
looked cool.
It was 101 degrees the one night I went to
Yeah,
go,
it
and
was real smelly.
I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
So, so that's it for tonight. We're very excited that now we can post more podcasts.
Yes.
Oh no, I got to stop it.